Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing good. Thanks for letting me come on your show.
Of course. Welcome to Sista Chat.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here during this quarantine. How you guys holding out?
Good, because I'm learning more about myself and I'm getting to do stuff that I wasn't able to do before. Yes.
That's a great thing. That's how we should take it right now. Learning about it, learning about learning about ourselves and being able to be ready to get out of this hopefully when they uplift it.
Yes.
You know? But you guys are doing great things. I've been checking on you guys and you guys are doing some good things. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. And I'm Ami. And I'm Sydney.
Nice to meet both of you sisters.
Nice to meet you too. So kings are born in March. And you,
Right.
Mr. Dave Brown, a true king, were born on March 12th in Westchester, Pennsylvania, to Reverend Dr. Brown and First Lady Jane Brown. We are so sorry we didn't know you on your birthday. So we would like to make a toast.
That's all.
We can't have champagne, so this is sparkling lemonade. Yes.
Okay, all right, there you go. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We would like to sing something for you real quick. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Wait. We have to add some flair to this. Flair? Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dave. Happy birthday to you. And we have birthday balloons. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We had a great time learning all about you and your family. So we created a video dedicated to you. We will play some of it for you now.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's my baby. That's wow.
The song that is playing is I'm So Proud by Curtis Mayfield. And we chose the song because our great-grandfather, John Avant, was a professional musician, and he's playing the trombone in this song.
That's dope. I love it. I love it.
We love this picture from your Instagram page.
Which one is that?
My brother is the reflection of me, and I can't fly if he's falling. When you moved to LA in 1992, Morris Chestnut gave you the blueprint to help you get started, just like you've done for many others, too. You say the #1 thing that takes people down in Hollywood is jealousy. So what do you do to keep positive vibes in your inner circle? And do you believe that people think they can fly even when their brother is falling?
I think what I do is, first of all, I start, the only thing that got me through being in Hollywood for this long is my faith. There's so many, I say, darts that are being thrown at you in Hollywood that, if you don't have your faith attached to your life, it's hard for you to maneuver. It's hard for you to make it and move around. As artists, no one wants to see the other person make it, or no one wants to see the other person strive to become more. And so I always say the #1 killer in the world is jealousy. And so if we don't, latch on to something as our faith to get us through these times, it becomes dark times for a lot of people. And that's when a lot of people, I think, turn to doing other things in life, which is drugs and all that type of things, and which is always the wrong way to go. And you should know that if you've been raised, the right way, you should know that, there had to be some type of, no matter whatever the religion is, but there's some type of religion in your background to where you have to grab on something to really take hold to get through this, the times that we're in right now. So I would have to say my faith is what got me through all of everything being in Hollywood.
Yeah. I would just have to think about how hard I worked to be where I am today.
Exactly. And then, I think it's, for you young ladies, you understand that, you know, at the end of the day, you guys are sponges. And what is poured into that sponge is what you're going to become. And so I always say, take the knowledge of just being able to read, one, because a lot of people, you know, and especially a lot of kids at your age group, they don't read a lot. You know, that we don't know that if the knowledge of really gaining the knowledge on understanding what's going on in life is just by reading and understanding, you know, what our fathers and grandfathers and stuff, what they went through in time, because the times have changed and different. But at the end of the day, you got to understand it kind of recycles itself. You know, the times recycles itself because, hey, with everything that's going on in the world right now, and so much hate is going back to the 50s when our parents was going through it, and it was very much, you know, very really crazy back then because, you know, they can do it. And the laws back then said, hey, you can say this and say, you know, what you want to say, even though it's supposed to be freedom of speech. So, you know, it's about good to really understand where it all started.
Yes. 8 years ago, your mother, Jane, asked you, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
How are you helping someone else? And that's when Indie Night Film Festival took shape. Your motto is, why should you have to wait once a year to be seen and miss all this work in between? We love that Indie Night provides Blueprint, a platform to guide artists from all over.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's my mom and dad are my rocks, my backbone, and you know, your parents, whenever they see you when not doing what you are set out to do, they always gonna pull your card and let you know, hey, you know what you're there for. Yeah. And so it draws you back in to doing the things that you know that you can do to resurface and you know, starting and doing the things, you know. And that was, you know, my father being a minister, he's always helping people, you know. And so it's like you look at everything that I have accomplished, and I'm like, you know, my mom had to step in and ask me. She said, okay, well, you've done all this, you built a brand and doing this and that, but what's your purpose? And it made you think about it, and it resets you to say, okay, you know, I need to get back, you know, and start doing the things that I was, you know, I came to LA to do. And, you know, and it's giving everybody an opportunity. With Indie Night Film Festival, it's the first weekly film festival in the world. And so it's a platform where you can show your short films, your web series, your trailers, your documentaries, your full features. And then I'm highlighting actors, writers, directors, producers, give everybody that opportunity to be seen on a platform in Hollywood, because you could just imagine just coming to LA and being in Hollywood and you being dropped there. You can't just go in somewhere and say, hey, look at this script, or hey, I'm an actor, take me, put me in a film. You know, it's all about who you know and not what you know, and about the relationships you cultivate here. And a lot of people don't understand. You can't just come to Hollywood and think it's going to happen just like that. You know, you have to do your homework. Yeah. You have to take the time to want to know who everybody is in Hollywood. Study who they, you know, what their backgrounds are, so you'll know that when you approach this person, you know who they are, just as you guys have done yourselves. So always keep that in mind.
Exactly. Like, I always dreamed of being an actor, but I never really sat down and I wouldn't practice a monologue every day. But now I'm starting to do that.
Yeah, and then read books. And then also watch films. Every good actor watches films, and you watch somebody, and instead of really watching the story, watch the technique of the actor, about how they, you know, how they put themselves in the scene, or their moment before, you know. You watch those type of things and take some things. Every actor will always take something from another actor that they've seen on screen. You know, it happens all the time, and it's okay, because that's good acting, you know. And then sometimes, you know, it's called, the definition of acting is creating believable behavior in imaginary circumstances. So once we learn and understand that, they say they don't want you to act, but they want you to act, but create believable behavior. So it'd be a great, you know, it's a good thing. So don't stop doing it. If that's what you want to do, it'll be great.
Yeah. We would like to show you this clip from our interview with Angela White.
Okay.
Mark 11, verse 25 is the heartbeat of the film A Question of Faith.
And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that your Father in heaven may forgive you your sins. As we have grown older, we have struggled to forgive our biological father for leaving our lives when we were babies. How can we accept his absence and truly forgive?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, yeah. You know, forgiveness.
Okay, yeah. We see the way that you love Gabby, and it's beautiful because a dad is supposed to be the first man a girl learns to trust. What would you say to us and other girls who never had the chance to be loved by and to learn from their dad?
You know, I learned a long time ago when, you know, my parents are still together, and, you know, for any daughter, the first love is their father, you know, because no matter what man, whatever man that you pick in your life, you want him to be just like your father or better than your father. And so you have to, you know, I knew that if I don't set the tone in my daughter's life on how she's to be respected as a woman by any man, you know, and know that, you know, you are smart. Because, you know, I always used to tell my daughter, I said, hey, you're not, you know, I would tell her she's smart first, and then you're beautiful. Because you don't want people to always think that it's just that your beauty is just going to get you over. You know, you're smart, being smart and making the right decisions as a woman is very important in life. So my daughter is we have a great relationship, and it's a father-daughter relationship to where right now you think about, there are a lot of parents that can't spend time with their kids, you know, but now because we're during the quarantine, this is the time where they can do that.
Yeah.
You know, but then you think about you think about those parents or those kids that are in abusive homes.
Yeah.
And now they would use school as their outlet to get away from it.
Yeah.
And now they can't go to school, you know, so they're subject to staying in that type of environment. So it's a double-edged sword with everything we're going through. But right now, I think all parents should take advantage of building the relationship, even if they don't and have not done it yet. Take advantage of this time when you're spending with your kids, because like I said earlier, kids are sponges, and what you pour into that sponge is what that kid is going to turn out to be. Exactly. And, you know, there's some great and there's some wrong, but I think the one thing that we don't do is communicate. And the more that we stay off the social media and start sitting down and talking to our parents and explaining what's on our mind, and then as parents, we have to listen.
Right.
We have to listen, because sometimes we like to say, oh, no, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. That's not the way to do it. And I've had to learn that even myself, to where kids just want you to listen to them. Even if they're wrong, just listen to them and then correct them. So
yes.
It's very important.
Exactly. Yes. And it's nice being with my mom and my sister in quarantine, because I used to just wake up, go to school, and I'd come back home, have dinner, do my homework, and then go to sleep. I wouldn't actually spend quality time with them, even though I'd spend time with them every day. But now I get to really talk to my mom. I talk to her about how I'm feeling here and how I miss my friends. I get to talk to my sister because she's my bestest friend. And I feel like if my dad were to come back into my life, that wouldn't change anything, because I already am so happy with my mom and my sister.
Right, right. And then just note this, that even when your dad does come back, just take the time to at least give him a chance to apologize, you know, or give you a reason why he wasn't there. And then you as an individual, because if he comes back, no matter how old you are, that's when you have to take the time to say, okay, you know what? I'm allowing him to come back in my life. At least he came back. And then whatever that relationship can start, it starts. But family is a very important thing. And you have a mother who's strong, that's taking on the responsibility of being the father and the mother at the same time. Yes. And you got to come in, and that makes her a strong woman, which means you guys have to understand, being that you have a strong mother, you guys have to be strong women as you get older as well.
Yeah.
Yes. You said, don't believe everything you see on TV. Experience it for yourself. This clip from your family trip to Ghana last December is so moving. Here it is.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the door of no return and how seeing the area where slaves were held right under the church made you and Gabby feel?
Oh man, it was. Let's see. You know, I guess when I say, you know, I would take it back to when I came to Africa for the first time. I was probably your age, about 13, 14, and back then, my parents, you know, said we're gonna go to Africa, and my brother and I would always think, okay, we're gonna see Tarzan jungle because that's what we saw on TV, you know. And so what my parents did was they kept us still thinking that this is what we were gonna see, and this was gonna be the outcome when we got there. So when we got there and we saw that it was a beautiful city, just like any other city in the United States, we were like, wow, okay, but wait, where's Tarzan? Where's the jungle? Where's, you know, and we're looking for it all. And they said, that's what we want you to understand. Don't believe everything you see on TV. See it firsthand for yourself. And that's when I started opening my eyes about wanting to travel, be around the world, and see things, because the number one way of tainting anybody's thought of any situation is by showing it on the media. We believe everything that the media tells us. And so we have to stop and just think, okay, even though they said this, is that what it really is? Or is it because of a financial thing that they don't want us to go there because they don't want us to give our money to this country or whatever. So you got to understand, me seeing it for myself was something that was changing for me in my life and my brother's life. And so this past December, I said, this is the time. My daughter was 12 at the time. She's 13 now. But she said, I said, this is the time where she needs to see Africa. And so I brought her to Africa. And we went to the dungeons. And it was, oh my gosh, it was one of, you know, going down in the dungeons, you can feel the spirits. And you can see that it was a lot of tragedy that's happened in this dungeon. And just to note that upstairs from the dungeon was a church, you know, kind of almost brought tears to your eyes. Like, how could anybody do this to any human beings? You know, and when I say that it was a dungeon, it's a castle, but it's a dungeon to where they had 200 people laying in one area where they were all chained down to the ground, you know, and it was sad. And so when you see, and we walk through the castle, and they show you where they put the kids and all this stuff, and then they had a door, and then the door was, once you went out that door, you were never coming back here again. So just think about leaving out of your mom's house and someone taking you to the shores where there's a boat, and once you get on that boat, you're not coming back to see your mom or any other family members. And then you go over, cross the waters, and not everybody made it because they called it the blood trail. And what I mean by that is the slaves on the ship, not all of them, they were either fight their way out and then they were getting killed because they would shoot them, and then they'd throw the bodies over the water. So that's the bloody trail where the sharks would just go up this trail, eating all the bodies they would throw over the boat. So just to know and hear all this history, it made me think any one of us could have been born in that situation. And slaves, you know, you were not slaves when you were in your village, and then all of a sudden you're put in slave, taken to another country. You know what I'm saying? So it was a testy moment, because you had to really understand and realize that, wow, this, you know, our ancestors fought for a lot, and we need to really realize that, understand that, and continue to tell the story, so that young ladies like your age will understand and know what those people have fought for or died for, and how important it is for you to live life the right way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's sad to think about that sometimes. Like, this is what our ancestors went through. Right.
It's really sad, but you know, then we just got to know that we can make a difference. We can make a difference in the way we live and in our world. We can make a difference. but it's up to us. It's up to you, you know, because you're the next generation. And so it's up to you guys to realize and understand. And you got to think about this. What you're going through right now, in all the years of my life or your mom's life, never did we think that the earth was going to stop this long during this quarantine. Never in life has it ever stopped. My grandmother's 102 years old. She saw everything. She saw when John F. Kennedy was killed, Martin Luther King. She went all the way up. And she said, never would she ever think that this would ever happen. And so being at 102, she said there's only two things that she wanted to do. And I was glad and happy that I was able to do that for her. But she's at 102, she was able to see the first black president. And that's something she said she never dreamed that she would ever see because of all the stuff that she went through in life. And so the next thing was meeting Oprah. That was one of the things that she wanted to do was meet Oprah. So I was able to set it up to where she was able to meet Oprah, and it was a great experience for her. So she's still living at 102 right now. And her name is Jane Evangela Smith. Jane Smith is my grandmother. So she's still living today, still dancing, and still living life. And it's a blessing to say that to this day.
That's awesome.
Yes.
This global pandemic may wear us out sometimes, but it will not break us down. We understand the importance of patience because this quarantine is not coming to an end anytime soon. But when the storm is over, and it will one day be over, we will hear my testimony on repeat. Marvin Sapp sings, "So glad I made it. I made it through. In spite of the storm and rain, heartache and pain. I'm still alive, declaring you. I made it through. I didn't lose. Experienced loss at a major cost, but I never lost faith in you. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and rescues them from all their troubles." Psalm chapter 34, verse 17. To the children whose love, security, and nourishment come from their days at school, and to those who experience domestic violence that is now exacerbated by the strain of job loss, fear, and uncertainty, what message would you send?
I think, after all that, this quarantine is really testing everybody's faith. And like you said, you will not forget it. And this is something that you'll always remember.
Yes.
And I think you guys have to realize that God is saying, stop. Listen to me. Follow my directions. And we'll all be okay. Because all this is a test of faith. I believe that it's surely a test of faith with all mankind. And this is where he says, hey, you know what? I got to bring love back in my world. And so this is how I'm going to do it. And you can think about this. It doesn't matter about how rich you are, how poor you are, how much of a celebrity you are. You all are being affected by this. Everybody's being affected by this. And so this is why you know who can affect everybody. God can. And so we have to take this and understand that when we come out of this quarantine, this epidemic that we're going through, we have to take this and we have to know that we have to come out showing a lot of love, being able to respond to people differently, bringing back love in the air to where people can, understand that we all bleed the same blood.
Yeah.
We can't see, there's enough of it has to, all the killing and everything that's going on right now has to stop, so coming out of this, we all have to be able to love one another and be able to talk one another. And so that's why I always tell the younger generation, don't get too embedded in social media. When I was growing up, our social media was go outside and play and be back in before the school lights come on, and so you have to understand that this is what we have to do each and every time is go back and go out and do these things, because let me tell you something. If you go to a yard and you watch a whole bunch of kids, right, and you see all the kids playing with one another, do you think the kids are sitting up there wondering what color they are? They don't care. They're just playing with one another. How many of your kids have black, white friends and everything? You're just playing. You don't know. So everything is embedded in you. That's when I said the wrong solution was poured in that sponge to make people become racist against each other. And it shouldn't be that way. And so it has to be a taught thing to where we have to undo this and show the love. And it starts with you guys, because that next generation, like, you know, sometimes people don't even know who the NAACP is. You know, the kids in the next generation the younger generation don't know who the NAACP is, and they don't understand that the NAACP fought for all blacks,
Yes.
as my father did. You know, and he says, we set the foundation. You guys got to build the house.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very important for you to go ahead and spread that word and continue talking about love. We got to bring love. But this is what's going on with this epidemic right now. God has stopped the world because he says, I'm trying to send a message. I'm sending a message to each and every one of you to let you know that I don't like what's going on, and I'm going to control it. And it's not going to be the hands. There's definitely not going to be the hand that is, I don't ever say his name, so I'm going to say 45 is given out. He's not in control of this. God is. And we got to all remember that.
Yes. And I'm so proud of this talk show because I like to spread the message to every young boy and young girl that no matter what your shape, size, color, you can do anything you want. We're two black girls doing this talk show. You can do anything.
And you guys are doing a very good job. And I love the fact that during this quarantine, you're taking I call it the responsibility to want to do this. And even reaching out to me and saying that you want to interview me. I appreciate that. And I love it. And I will keep spreading the word. The Sydney sisters are doing a great job, and I'm a fan, and I appreciate you guys dearly.
Thank you so much. A wise man once said, you gotta learn and understand what's going on around you. I learned how not to be. Hollywood is big, but it's very small. What is one of the biggest lessons that you learned not to be during your career in the entertainment industry?
Ooh, I learned that even though someone does you wrong, don't show that it affects you. As long as you know, and you know how that person is, you learn how to deal with it a certain way. The one thing in Hollywood is people don't understand is the person that, you know, you may pull up and it takes your car. When you pull up to the studio, they may take your car, and you may scream about your car being parked in the wrong spot. That person that you just screamed on would be the person that's going to be running in the studio next year. Or never. That's how the business works. You never know who that person is going to be. So my thing is always cultivate relationships to where if you see bad, I observe everything and I watch everything, and I learn how not to be. When I say, I watch them and I say, dang, they're doing that wrong. I wouldn't have done that. So I know I'm not going to be like that person. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people think that they need to act like somebody or be like somebody to make it. No, be your own self, be a leader. Don't be a follower. You know, and so in this business, a lot of people don't realize the importance of building relationships. Even if you know this person has done you wrong, hold it in. Take it. And just know that when you get in that position, don't you become that person. Always show love to everybody, because you never know how small Hollywood is. It's big, but it's small. And the only thing that you always remember this, ladies, the only thing you own in life is your name. And when you dirt that, none. That's it. You know, you only have a certain time to get up and back and keep saying your name. And then, you know, you want that name to go all the way across. And that's one thing I always strive on doing, is building a brand that everybody can respect. And it shows. And I still do it to this day, where I say, hey, God brought me on this earth to help people, give everybody opportunities, and show. And even if I don't get acknowledged by it, I'm being acknowledged by you guys. That means a lot more to me, being acknowledged by somebody out bigger, because now I know I'm touching the young. And when I'm touching the young, that means I'm doing good, because now I'm starting to talk to the people that I know, that second coming of planting a seed to where you guys could be great and be that first woman black president. You know,
Yes.
this is what's needed. And if we don't plant the seed, how will you guys grow to become successful women?
Exactly. Yeah. I also like what you said about extra work, that if you do extra work, they're only going to think of you as an extra. But I like that you said that even if you do extra work, that you could be learning something. I really like that.
Yeah, you know, because doing extra work, I always say, you know, a lot of people do extra work and stuff because, you know, of course they want to get their bills paid. But at the same time, if you're really serious about the craft, you know, do extra work, but then also make sure you get something out of it. You know, stand close to the director. You know, stand by the monitor and just watch. You know, and learn. Every situation you have to learn something and want to know. You know, how the first AD does things, how the director, how, you know, you want to know all the terminologies of filmmaking. So if you want to know it, and I always say this, you know, I could be the first to say this because I did it. You know, even though I graduated from Morehouse as a film major, you know, my parents was pushing me going, I think you should go to grad school. I think you should go to grad school. And I said, but you know what, though? I'm in grad school. And what I mean by that is when I'm on sets and I'm watching and I'm taking in and I'm learning and I'm grabbing all the knowledge and I'm asking questions. That director over there is going to look at you and he's going to say, that's going to be somebody great because they want to know. They want to be in it. And that's where you build relationships to where they say, hey, you know what? Why don't you guys come work with me? And that's what happens in Hollywood. You never know at any given time, any given moment. You can get put in a situation where you're elevating your career and your family's lifestyle because of being in the right place at the right time. So always take that knowledge and want to take that notes. Ask questions. A person, you'll never know if you don't ask questions. And so if you feed the mind, then you learn a lot.
Yes.
I love to play basketball, football, and run track. There's nothing like teamwork and friendship. And I know that you play basketball too. My favorite basketball team is the Golden State Warriors. What's your favorite basketball team?
Did you say the Golden State Warriors?
Yes.
Golden State Warriors. Because I'm from the Bay. I'm from Philly, but then my parents moved to the Bay Area. So I always grew up under the Warriors. And so I like everything they've done. But then I was always when you go team-wise, I would go Warriors. But if you go individually, I got to say Michael Jordan. And so Michael Jordan is you know, I love basketball so much that I used to eat, sleep, drink basketball so much, but I would work out all the time. And playing in high school and then playing in college, it helped me understand that I won championships 3 years in a row when I was in high school, back to back, only undefeated. And so, but I always understood it happened because of teamwork. I couldn't do it by myself. Everybody had a responsibility. And then when you look at it coming into Hollywood and making a film, it's about teamwork. Everybody has a responsibility. Everything you do, it's all about having the right component to make it work. And so just as that point guard, that shooting guard, forward, you know, small forward, big forward, center, everything, you got to come together. You have to unite to build the chemistry to want to win. And the one thing I always like to do is I like to win. I'm very competitive. I'm competitive like when I get on the court and stuff. But, you know, you have to be because then it gives you that driving force to do anything in life too. To where I don't want to lose. And I don't want to see people around me lose. So if I see that somebody else is having problems, I'm going to pull you up. And that's the one thing I always say that we don't do in Hollywood is we always so quick to want to network up, but we don't want to network across. And everybody that's around us can get you just to the top faster than just going to the top. Because sometimes when people go up to the top, they don't want to send the elevator back down. And they definitely don't want you to get on it, you know? And so it goes back to understanding that, once again, building the relationships and understanding that relationships could take you a long way in this business.
Yes, definitely. On February 23rd, Ahmaud Arbery was killed by two white men while he was running through his Brunswick, Georgia neighborhood. And the men who killed him are still living. Here's a short clip from our Tiffany Haddish interview. What are your thoughts on this?
When Trayvon Martin was murdered, we were only 6 and 8 years old. Our mom told us that no parent should wonder, will my child come home safely? Tiffany, do you think that we will ever live in a world where people don't have to specify that Black lives matter, all lives matter?
What are your thoughts
I
on
think?
this?
I think that really, you know, when we understand that all lives matter, to where it comes down to where it doesn't. Yeah, I say no color lines. There are no color lines. There should be no color lines. And what happened in Georgia is a hate crime, and it should be dealt. Those guys should be brought to justice on that, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's going back to the 50s. They were doing that stuff back in the 50s. This is 220 right now. This is 220. We shouldn't be going through this, and it has to stop. And it has to stop in a way to where you can't have police brutality, people trying to take the law in their own hands because they felt they was threatening. That kid was running away from him. He wasn't running at him. He was running away from him. And for him to take his life, it shows that we as America still have a long way to go, and that we have to understand that racism is very prevalent to this day. And you guys gotta understand that when you go back and look at the history books and see how it was back then. And you gotta understand, back then they would just grab you off the street and just hang you up in a tree. Next thing you know, you drive back, you're driving down the street or walking down the street, and you see a body just hanging in the street. You know? And that's what that kind of killing was the other day. It's like, here's the guy that's just walking down the street, jogging, doing his thing, and next thing you know, they take his life. Because of what? Because he's black. You know, and it breaks. All lives matter. We have to stop this. We have to stop it, and we have to realize. And if those in the hands don't control it, then you know who's going to control it? God is going to control it. And that's what he's doing right now.
Yes.
So it is wrong.
Yeah.
And I hope they do get justice, because you can't just go around doing that and getting away with it.
Exactly. Yeah. When it's all said and done and God calls you home, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you want people to remember about you?
When it's all said and done is, I think I want everybody just to know that all I ever wanted to do was see everybody else around me shine. All I wanted to do was help other people. And, you know, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. That's what my father did. You know, you're a product of what you're made of. And I wanted to always just be known that, hey, Dave had a heart. He had a heart for everybody. Yo, if you needed him, he was gonna be there for you. And everybody knows this about me. If you ask, I'm there. You know, if I could do something, I'm gonna tell you I could do it. If I can't do it, I'm gonna be a man and say I can't do it. You know, but let me find somebody who can do it. That's what the real person. That's what you do. It's like, if I can't help you, let me find somebody that can help you. And so I want to just be remembered as a strong brother that came from strong parents who showed them values of how to succeed and how to survive in the world that we are in today. And know that if I can help others and continue helping others, I'm going to do it to the day I die. And know that if I get to the point, I can sit there and talk to God and say, hey, you brought me in this world to do this, and I did it. And if you accept me, I'm ready to come home.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to help people in my community. I just want to help everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. And you guys are going to do that. And that's why I say strive hard. When you guys get, you know, I can see both you guys, how many, what's the age difference?
2 years.
2 years? Mm-hmm. So you guys will be in school. So one will be the president of the school, and another will become the president of the school. Then you guys can but I really feel that you guys are going to be some strong women. It's going to make an impact on everything you do in life. And I got to say, big ups to your mom, because she did a wonderful job of building some smart, beautiful women.
Thank you. Martin Luther King Jr. said, Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. When we started producing and hosting Sista Chat, it was so dark that we couldn't hardly see the staircase. But thanks to people like you who support our platform, we continue having faith in ourselves. We are not just dreaming big, but we are hungry, and will always work hard, look out for what not to do, and observe the world around us as we pursue our biggest, baddest dreams ever.
Oh, thank you very much. And I will officially, whatever you have to say, you let me know, and I will get that door for you to open and to get whatever you need to do in life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We would like to say goodbye through the music of Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions, who sang, "People get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith. To hear the diesels humming, you don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord." Thank you, Dave. And as we always say, you start as our guest and you leave as our friend.
Thank you very much. You guys take care. And always, it'll shine and reach out for the stars. Because you guys are starting as a star right to this day.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate this.
You got it. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Ooh, that was fun.
That was so fun. Oh my gosh.